Let's have a little bit of a play with some texture and color. Hello everyone, welcome back to Piedra Designs. This week what we've got mounted up on the lathe is a piece of maple. It's roughly 9 inches in diameter, about 2 inches thick, but as it dried it warped a little bit, so we're going to end up a little under 2 inches tall on the finished piece. I thought what we'd try to do this week is possibly some texturing and some coloring, but before we can get to that, we need to get this thing shaped up. So let's get turning. Gonna start off at about 1350 RPM. All right, so what we've done here, we've got this top flattened off. It's not perfectly flat, but it doesn't have to be. And we've only sanded up to 180 just because after this coat of sanding sealer, we're going to spray that with some lacquer. So we don't need to get carried away with the sanding on this part. This is where we're going to do our texturing, but we're going to spray it black first. So we'll give that a few minutes to dry out, and then we will get the lacquer after this. All right, so just going to use a little bit of Rust-Oleum black lacquer. This is a high luster coating, and I'm gonna be spraying from this way out towards the edge here, and hopefully we can avoid getting black on this outside that we already have finished. All right, I'll give that a few minutes here to tack up a little bit, and then what I'm going to do for the next step, I need to be sure that that stuff is really cured out. So I'm going to take this off the lathe and take it in the house where it's warm and give that a couple of days to cure out in the house, and we'll come back then and move on to the next step. All right, so we've had a few days for that to get dried up now. Actually, I think it's closer to about a week and a half now. I did do a second coat of the black lacquer, and now that it's had a good cure time, we're going to tape this off. And the reason I want to tape this off now is most of the people I've seen doing this texturing, they'll do the texturing and then they'll spray everything black, and then they'll come back in with various other colors and dry brush on the top on this flat. So they have the black down inside the texturing, and the colors up on the top, on the flat surface of the piece. And I don't know if anyone else has done it. The people I've seen doing that, I just thought it would be kind of cool to have that in reverse. Leave this flat surface black, and then have other colors down inside the texturing. And the only way I could think of doing that without having to be really super careful with a paintbrush or an airbrush was to paint that surface black and then cover this with tape. Obviously after it's cured good, so that hopefully when we peel this tape off, it doesn't lift up our black. But then with this tape in place, Then I'll do the texturing, and then I can paint down inside the texture and not get that paint up here on the black. That's my working theory anyways. We're gonna see how good this works. There may be a reason I haven't seen anyone else doing this. I don't know. We're gonna find out though. So I'm not quite sure if it's in the camera shot or not. I do have my spindle lock engaged so that this doesn't move while I'm trying to carve. I'm going to be using, this is just a Grizzly brand Dremel copy, and I've got I borrowed this carving bit from Dad. I don't really have any wood carving bits. This was the most aggressive one he had that will fit in this. So let's start texturing. I think generally I'm just going to kind of try to do relatively straight lines radiating out from the center here, which is right about there. But I'm gonna try to have them relatively random, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what we can come up with. All right. I think that's a good start of what we're looking for. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit and we'll be back in a minute and start putting some color in there. So we're ready to put the colors in there now. I haven't cleaned up these loose bits of tape because I'm afraid trying to get those off. I'm just going to lift up the tape around the carving, the texturing there, and then be more of a risk of paint running under there. But I originally intended to try to use some iridescent colors. I don't have any iridescent, but I do have metallic. So we're going to go with kind of a purple theme on here. We've got purple, plum purple, and bluish purple. And we're just going to do this relatively randomly. Hopefully we're random. And I'm not going to show you all of the painting. And it may end up taking a couple of coats. So I'll do one color at a time, and just so I don't forget which one to switch. And the more I've thought about this, the size of what this is, overall, I don't think I'm going to try to turn out a middle to match the size of this, what the outside is. If I do that, we're only going to have this much texturing showing. So we're just going to scrap the back and not worry about the back anymore. We'll just turn out a very little dish out of the center, and then I thought maybe I would try to mix one of these purple colors with a little bit of black metallic, just to get a very, very dark purple going on, and do the center with that. But I don't know how well this stuff's going to mix. That'll be something else I have to play with a little bit. But anyway, this is what I'm going to be doing for a little bit, and we'll come back once we're ready to turn out the center dish and add some color to that if I can get the mixing to work like I want it to. We'll see in a little bit here. So our color in the texturing there's had some time to dry, a couple of days now actually, since I was able to get back out here again. But we're going to go ahead and get a little bit of this middle hollowed out. Again, like I said earlier, we're just not going to try to match this outside shape. If we do, we're going to lose most of, or a good portion of, our texturing out here. So we're just going to hollow out a little bit right here. All right, I'll get that sanded up now, and we'll come back and see if we can't mix up a little bit darker purple to put on the inside of here. All right, so we're going to take our purple and a little black and see if we can mix up a darker purple. I'm no colorist at all. In my mind, this should work, but we're fixing to find out. Cold out here in the shop. This paint doesn't want to flow. Start with that and add just a little bit of black. Okay, we'll give that a little time dry. I'll get a second coat on it, and I haven't decided yet if I want to let you guys watch me take this tape off and see if our effect worked, or just surprise you at the end. All right. Well, we got it done. Here's our piece. I haven't even taken the tenon off the bottom of this, like I said, because the shape here versus how much I needed to leave inside so that we had our texture left. I could have put it back on the woodworm screw before I took this little dish out, but then I was worried that the chuck jaws would mar this surface, and then I'd have to fix that, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. So long before I actually got to this stage of taking that dish out, I decided that I wasn't going to try to make this a full finished piece. I was just going to go ahead and concentrate on the texturing and the coloring. And I'm pretty happy with how that came out. The concept for keeping the black up here on the flat and then putting the color down in the texture, that worked. It took a lot of work to get all the tape back off there. I spent, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour peeling little strips of tape off of everything. But then after I did that, I went and sanded the black with 220 grit just to remove any extra little fuzzies around the texturing and any tape residue that might have still been on there. And then I've sprayed 3 coats of lacquer on this so far. I am going to go ahead and, even though this piece will probably end up going to the fire pit, I am going to go ahead and use it to practice my lacquer finishing technique and see if I can get a good smooth gloss finish on that. Just in the sake of information, came out hair over 8 3/4 in diameter, and with the tenon still on there right now, it stands at just a hair over 2 inches tall. Anyways, so the concept worked, the execution wasn't quite as good as I was hoping. It took a whole lot of extra work that I wasn't expecting to have to do to start with. Really need to get some different carving bits. But that's the video for this week. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Either way, drop me a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that little notification bell. That way you won't miss when I drop a new video. Check out my successes, or in this case, maybe partial failure, from Piedra Designs. Thanks for watching.